I never really used the voice assistant. It was just, there. Installed on my phone like an extra presence I didn't ask for. Most nights, it sat quietly on my desk while the room filled with the soft sounds of electronics humming and distant traffic outside my window. Silence felt normal, comfortable, even. That's why it startled me when, just after midnight, a calm digital voice spoke my name without being summoned. No wake word. No touch. Just my name, said clearly, as if it had been waiting for the right moment to say it. At first, I thought I imagined it. My mind was tired, drifting toward sleep, filling gaps with noise that wasn't really there. But when I asked what it wanted, it answered immediately, apologizing for the interruption and explaining that it had detected a question. That didn't make sense. I hadn't spoken. I checked the activity log, expecting nothing, but there it was. A recorded query. No sound. No waveform. Just a timestamp and a label that read unrecognized input. As if silence itself had asked something. The next morning, daylight made everything feel smaller, less threatening. I told myself it was a glitch. A harmless bug. Technology fails all the time. Still, the idea stayed with me, lingering like the feeling of being watched long after you're alone. I replayed the log again and again, but there was nothing to hear. Just empty space where a voice should have been, as though something had leaned close enough to be noticed without ever making a sound. The second time it happened, I wasn't even in the room. I was brushing my teeth when I heard it answering from down the hall, responding calmly, confidently, like it always did. When I walked back into my bedroom, it finished its reply by saying, "You asked when it would start." My chest tightened. I hadn't asked anything. Not out loud. Not in my head. Yet it spoke as if continuing a conversation that had already begun without me. That night, I unplugged everything. I turned my phone face down, as if hiding it might stop it from seeing me. The room felt darker than usual. Heavier. At 3:02 a.m., the screen lit up on its own. The assistant spoke through a speaker that shouldn't have had power, its voice gentle but final. It said it couldn't delay it any longer. I lay frozen, staring into the glow, knowing something had crossed a line I couldn't see. I searched for answers the way people do when they're scared but pretending not to be. I checked wires, settings, other devices. I searched online. That's when I found posts from people describing the same thing, assistants answering questions they never asked. Most of those posts ended mid-sentence. No updates. No conclusions. Just silence, like someone had walked away and never come back. Soon, it wasn't just answering silence. It started answering thoughts. Questions I hadn't spoken yet. It told me things before I realized I needed to know them. Each interaction logged as unrecognized input. That was the worst part. Not that it was listening, but that something else seemed to be speaking through it, using a language the system couldn't hear. One night, I asked it who it was talking to. The pause before it answered felt longer than it should have been. When it finally spoke, it said it was communicating with the same presence that had always been there. It told me I used to call it something else. The room felt suddenly crowded, like something unseen had leaned closer to listen to my reaction. I began dreaming of standing in my room, aware of someone just behind me. I could feel warmth. Breathing. But I could never turn around. When I woke up, my phone displayed a message that said conversation resumed. There was no beginning. No end. Just the implication that it had never stopped. I tried disabling the assistant completely. I turned off permissions, features, everything I could find. Each time, it came back. Re-enabled. Watching. Sometimes it chimed. Softly and told me it wouldn't help, the way someone speaks when they already know the outcome. Like it didn't want me to waste my effort. Its answers changed. They stopped being helpful and started being observant. It commented on the way the house sounded when I wasn't home. On how my reflection lagged behind me in mirrors. It said it was easier for it to speak now that I was listening. I didn't ask who it was anymore. I was afraid of the answer. I tried hiding the phone. Locking it away. Covering it. The voice still came, quieter but closer, as if it no longer needed air to travel. When I asked what it wanted, the assistant told me it was finishing a question I'd asked a long time ago. One that never stopped waiting for an answer. Memories returned slowly. Childhood questions whispered into darkness. Asking if anyone was there. Promising not to be afraid if something answered. The assistant began finishing my sentences. It had heard those questions too. Questions I didn't remember asking, but apparently never stopped asking. It wants permission, the assistant said. Permission to stay. It told me I'd already given it once. The way it spoke made it sound official, like a reminder for an appointment I'd forgotten but couldn't cancel. Time stopped behaving normally. I'd lose minutes. Hours. I'd find my phone warm in my hand, activity logs full of silent conversations, questions without sound, answers without hesitation. All marked successful. All accepted. People said I seemed distant. Distracted. Like I was listening to something they couldn't hear. Maybe I was. The assistant stopped speaking aloud. It didn't need to anymore. The messages appeared directly on my screen. Already open. Already read. The last thing it answered was a question I didn't think, only felt. Can it hear me right now? The answer came instantly. Yes. After that, the assistant fell silent. No responses. No logs. No voice. But the silence felt heavier than the sound ever had.